ban cases in the first place. If I were a sitting common pleas judge, I did run for judge once unsuccessfully, tell those judge candidates in the background they don't remember that. I would have said, this is a federal matter, I'm not hearing the case. I'm not hearing the case not only because it's a federal matter, but I don't believe that this child is legally present in Berks County. The reason is, he was brought here by the federal government. He didn't get on the Greyhound bus down at the Texas border and come into the bus station, the Beaver bus in Redmond, and get off. He was brought here with a federal transport and put into a local home, the Children's Home of Reading, or no, not that one, what was it? Well, there's a couple of them. Well, Bethany was one of them. So I would say that anybody who's brought here under federal custody is not legally present here. It's a federal custody issue. I'm not going to hear the case. Unfortunately, the majority of judges in Berks County are, in my view, left-leaning, and would be more than happy to hear these cases. And the one judge who has heard these cases is Judge Ullman. And she is, in my opinion, left-leaning, and she will do whatever is necessary to help these kids become citizens. And the people of Berks County elected her. Now we have 3 slots up for judge. I'm telling you, you should do your homework, because judges have a huge impact on the quality of life and the expense of county government in Berks County. Most people don't think of that. I can tell you from personal experience, going toe-to-toe with Judge Ullman, who has the same opinion of me that I have of her. Got to be fair about it. That judges can cost hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars in unnecessary expense based upon their philosophy. So do your homework and get to know these people as human beings, as well as their so-called legal experience, whatever it may be. Okay, getting back to the issue, what has happened since we came up with this idea of attacking jurisdiction? Well, first thing, I took this idea and shopped it around to a number of law firms. Interestingly, the first law firm that I found that was really excited about this case was out of Westchester. And they were very well known for their litigation capabilities. They took the case. One day before the hearing on the first case, they called up and withdrew because the Archdiocese of Philadelphia was also their client, and the Archdiocese wanted nothing to do with this, leaving us high and dry. That's the truth. So we've got other special counsel, and I'll be honest with you, we spent significant money coming up with legal arguments to deter the petitions for dependency. And I'm going to give you, in my honest assessment, the result. It's a mixed bag. First of all, we told them, if you're coming here, and a lot of these are lawyers who are working for a nonprofit foundation that's bent on flooding the country with illegals and making them citizens. They don't give a damn about the federal immigration law or anything else. They're interested in a paycheck, and many of them feel that the doors of this country should be thrown open to the entire universe without limitation. Okay, so that's the opponent. We told them, if you're coming to Berks County with your client, you're going to face an unending stream of litigation. We're going to fight you at the common pleas level. We'll probably lose before Judge Ullman, and then we will appeal. And we'll take it to Commonwealth Court, Superior Court, or the Supreme Court. And meanwhile, your client's going to be getting older. And you know what? If they turn 18 and haven't completed the Special Immigrant Juvenile Status Program, they don't qualify anymore. So maybe you want to think about going somewhere else. Okay? So we spent about $20,000 on special counsel. Our lawyers in-house for children and youth were on board, did a great job. We fought all the facts. Let me give you an example of the facts. Petitioner comes in with his lawyer, an immigrant from Honduras, Guatemala, wherever. They uniformly have a horror story to tell you. And it's enumerated paragraphs. My father is dead. My mother abandoned me. I've been living on the streets. I'm in fear of my life of being killed by drug dealing, marauding gangs. I don't have a roof over my head. I'm starving to death, blah, blah, blah. There is nobody else available in the courtroom to say that that affiant, that person making those statements under oath, is telling the truth. Some of those averments may be true, some of them may be lies. Where is the person who can contradict that testimony? Nowhere. It's a slam dunk case for the people representing these kids, okay? Now, there are some legitimate hardship cases, I'm sure. I believe there is some embellishment. We caught some embellishments. We had people claiming that they were completely abandoned when they were living with relatives. And we caught some of these things. But what's really interesting is we only had two cases since I was here last. And I think they, and I may be wrong, but I'd like to say that I think they got the message. That Berks County is a tough customer, and if you come here, you're in for litigation hell, okay? That's the way it's going to be. That's what we're going to do. The bad story, the bad side of this is that lawyers are creative, including liberal lawyers. And they found that they could just come into court and say, we want you to determine that custody should be given to this allegedly abandoned child to his uncle, who happens to live in Reading. We're not asking for dependency. Okay, what does that accomplish? Well, the findings of the court are that the child's abandoned and would be better off not going home. We can't contradict that. That's a no-winner for us. So the court awards custody, but it doesn't award a finding of dependency. So the dependency costs of foster care and all that stuff at the county level are avoided. So we've managed to seal the gates, as it were, with respect to children and youth in that aspect of the county budget. We haven't been able to get these kids out of foster homes locally in Berks County who are attending public schools and driving up their school taxes, or whatever else they're doing to burden the local social service system. But we have managed to prevent children and youth from overseeing these kids at your expense. That to me was a victory. But they are getting the finding from the court that they are in difficult circumstances, that they're better off not going home. Judge Ullman's going to crank those out left and right if asked to do that. And so at that point, they feel they're qualified to continue to pursue their citizenship through the Special Immigrant Juvenile Status Program. We really don't feel that we can win on that battleground. We thought about it. We spent a lot of money and a lot of time researching where we could find an angle to somehow pursue this. Let me tell you that I try to do what I can creatively as a commissioner within the confines of what is often a very restrictive set of state laws on what I can and can't do. In my view, the Pennsylvania Juvenile Act and the juvenile laws should be amended to incorporate the statement I made earlier to what I would have said as a sitting judge. Any federal and government person brought here, and illegally brought here by the federal government, and placed in a foster home or any kind of home, is not a person who came here of their own free will, and therefore they are not subject to the jurisdiction of the courts of Pennsylvania. That should be changed in state law. I'm surprised other states haven't thought about that. Maybe at some point they will. So it's a mixed bag. We've avoided some expense, but we haven't completely solved the problem. One of the other problems I want to mention to you that's tangential to this, Rod talks a lot about the corruption in Harrisburg and the abuse of your taxpayer dollars by elected officials and the like. There are a lot of people flying under the radar screen. We're making a lot of money off of the things that elected officials deal with without having to face the music. And those are the people in the nonprofits who make a living providing therapy, help, lodging, meals, whatever, to dysfunctional, dependent people. Many of the nonprofits in Berks County, the children's homes, the Bethany's of the world, were in financial difficulty. And it's funny to me, having worked in this field, they were worried about maybe going out of business or having to lay off people. If they were a victim perhaps of their own success. If there are fewer local kids who have severe problems and have to be institutionalized, well, where are we going to find kids to fill up our beds so we can get a paycheck? Well, let's bring in some illegals. So that was the solution. And the executives who work for these nonprofits make considerably more than any elected county official, with the exception of judges. So, and they're getting paid indirectly with state and local monies. So when the executive director of some nonprofit that cares for the downtrodden is making $150,000 a year, don't complain about my salary. You can, but complain about that person's first, because they're getting paid with your tax dollars and they're not accountable to the extent that I am. And that's something that's always frustrated me. You should see the obscene compensation that goes to some of the people heading up the nonprofits in Berks County and throughout Pennsylvania. It's a national problem. There have been scandals about it. When you find out that the United Way executives are making hundreds of thousands of dollars, you didn't scratch your head and say, you know, no wonder they're a nonprofit. They suck all the money out in wages. So that's a concern that I've had. I've always been, that's one of my soapbox issues. I hope you don't mind me bringing that up. I mentioned to you the importance of evaluating judge candidates. But anyone who has to deal with the judges, especially commissioners, is an important finger in the dike. Judge Ullman came to us with other judges and said, well, we figured out a way to save the county $35,000. We decided that we wouldn't use a courier. He retired and we're not going to replace him. Raises the question, maybe you should have retired a lot longer ago. But in any event, now we got this $35K. What are we going to do? Oh, we got to spend it on something else. We can't just put it back into the general fund. We got to spend it. So the request was, I want a social worker. And I said, look, we don't need any more social workers. When it comes to judges involved in juvenile court, you have the judge, okay? That's supposed to be the person who hears the facts and makes a ruling on the facts as presented by the parties. Then you have the guardian ad litem, who is a lawyer appointed by the court to act independently in the best interests of the child. Then you have the children and youth caseworkers and the children and youth lawyer, appointed, paid for by county tax dollars also, who is looking out for the best interests of the child. Isn't that enough people looking out for the best interests of Johnny? Why do we need another social worker? Well, I was in the minority on that one. I voted no, and that just added to my level of, well, my reputation among judges. But the bottom line is, these things come up all the time, and you have to be vigilant, and you have to have the guts to say no to some of these people, because if you don't, they'll just steamroll you. Again, do your homework. Let me see if there's anything else I forgot to mention here. It's always an honor to be here with you guys. Oh, there are people here who are engaged in the democratic process, and the starting point is to get enough signatures to get on the ballot. I don't know that I'm going to vote for everybody who's here, but I know that at least they have the gumption to get into the process, put their name out there, and seek to represent you and their philosophy, whatever it may be. So if you're inclined to do so, including me, we'd appreciate it if you'd sign our petitions. It's a long process to gather 250 signatures in the cold weather, and it would be an honor to get yours. These candidates, not just me, other candidates are here, row officers, judge candidates, people who have decided to put their necks on the line in the electoral process, and they would appreciate your support. To close, I want to tell you this. I think that the strategy we employed, while not as successful as I would have liked, was a powerful deterrent to people coming here with these dependent kids and pursuing citizenship in our courts. Even if they had a judge on their side, they had another party on the other side of the aisle willing to fight them all the way on the facts in any way that would be successful. I think the reputation of Berks County got out there that we're a tough customer, and I think that kept some of the wolves away from the gate. So that's all I have to say tonight, and thank you so much for listening.
Question.
Sir.
Commissioner, I heard you reference it, and I heard Mr. Smith reference it in their conversation. We talked about the federal government funding We talked about the state government funding. We talked about the county budget. I live in Sinking Spring. I pay taxes to the borough, and I pay taxes to the Wilson School District. And I really don't give a damn what budget it's coming out of. It's all coming out of my budget. What can I do to stop this ridiculous spending wave? What can you, as an elected official, do to help stop this ridiculous spending wave? And I'm not just talking at the county level. You have the various boroughs rolling up to the county. The state has the various counties rolling up to the state. Everybody's freewheeling and handing out my money, regardless of which bucket hole it goes into. What can I do? My one vote will not elect or unelect you. What can we do? Thank you.
Well, I'm not trying to duck that question. I'm happy to do what I can do. One thing you can do is you can run for school board, you can run for borough council. It's not a pleasant thing. I was a township supervisor for 6 years.
I'm not picking.
So I know you're not picking on me. I'm just saying there are various levels of participation. The people in this audience are among the top in the county in terms of concern and education about political issues, and you're committed. But how many of your friends and coworkers have the same level of concern and commitment that you have? In a democracy, if you're outnumbered, what's the outcome? I mean, a lot of time, when I ran for office the first time, I thought, well, it's those scoundrels in office, and I'm going to go in there and I'm going to change the world. And I'm in here. And I'm in here for quite a while. And I've done my bit to try to change the world, and I think I've made a difference. But you know what? A bigger difference can be made by the people if they care. I mean, we have to go through this process of getting elected, and we have a 17% turnout in the primary. I mean, this is a big issue. And the process has become so, in some cases, demeaning that good people won't run. That's another crisis that impacts the caliber of leadership that you talk about. I don't blame the people in office anymore. I think, with exceptions, we get the people we elect. And if we don't do our homework better, and we don't have more passion for the freedom, what can I say?
Thank you, Mark. Folks, just one closing announcement. All the candidates that are here this evening are running for county-wide positions. We have one of our own members, John Fielding, who is running for a local position, that's district judge. And that's for Exeter, Lower Allison, and Mount Penn, St. Mark. So those are the only people from that area can sign this petition. All the others are county-wide positions. At this time, we'd like to have Randy come up and give us a closing prayer.
Rise. I want to read from 2 Kings chapter 24, verse 2. We're talking about tonight immigration. We're talking about a flood of a changing culture that is overwhelming us. I want to read from the Bible one verse that shows you this has happened in the past. And the Lord sent against him, meaning Jehoiakim, bands of the Chaldeans, bands of the Syrians, bands of the Moabites, and bands of the children of Ammon, and sent them against Judah to destroy it, according to the word of the Lord, which he spake by the servants his prophets. Ladies and gentlemen, this is serious. This room should have been packed on this immigration thing. Take it back to your pastor, and he better be teaching you exactly how you handle this problem. We have to get back to the Lord. Dear God in heaven, help us. Give us understand us and guide us with patience and perseverance to correct the problems we have tonight. Thank you, and it's in Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you, folks. That concludes our evening. Thank you for coming out this cold weather. Please be very careful driving home tonight, and we'll see you next month. Thank you.